Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot's wife. Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot's wife. Now, this is truly a spiritual message, and this is not for everybody. This is not for religious people. This is not for people who are part of religion or any tradition or anything outside of the God of Israel. You know, you people who are part of this other stuff, you're just going to remain a part of that other stuff, and God is going to just hand you over to the enemy. And a lot of you will be in hell. You all are you beings and people who are not repentant, and just who have not repented to the real Jesus, and also just people who God does not want anything to deal with. You know, you people who God does not have interest in and all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, get prepared for, you know, these dark places in the spirit world with the devil. But yeah, anyhow, Lot's wife, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah and all this deep stuff. I mean, yeah, man, this one is a deep one too, because I know, you know, spiritual people and God and the God of Israel, God's people, and who God has interest in. You will feel me on this one. You know, some of you may feel similar, but you also will get revelation in this, and all glory to God. But at the same time, yeah, God, man, you know, this stuff is deep. But this one, Lord God. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, so yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah, many of you may know about this, and some of you may not too. You know, there's beings and people who don't, and all that deep stuff, you know, not looking down on anybody. But anyhow, yeah, Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot's wife. See, here's the thing, like, you know, okay, so God the Father is basically, see, this you people do not fear God. And see, this is the problem with you people. This is why you're on your way to hell and many other dark places in the spirit world with the enemy, because this shit is not a game. And see, God is spiritual, believe it or not. That's what I'm telling you, he is. And God's people already know this. But see, you religious, this is why I already said what I said, you know, what I already said, because this is not for you religious people and all this stuff. You people are part of all this other stuff. You're going to be in hell, and you're going to be a part of what I'm getting into. But anyhow, see, God the Father did a lot of things concerning Sodom and Gomorrah. And I'm truly just being led by the Spirit. I'm not, you know, there's nothing that I'm truly just being led by the Spirit concerning this matter, you know, flowing in the Spirit, you know, all that deep stuff, you know. But yeah, anyhow, yeah, I mean, Sodom and Gomorrah, you see, God the Father, he was destroying this place, you know. And this did take place, you know, biblically as well, you know. And see, God, see, here's the thing too. Jesus Christ was not on the scene around this timeline of things. That's what you gotta understand concerning Sodom and Gomorrah. He was not intervening or nothing. That's what you gotta understand about the real Jesus. He was not a part of this stuff. God the Father was strictly doing things and destroying many people and many beings, is what you gotta understand in Sodom and Gomorrah. And see, these people were in rebellion. It wasn't just sin with these people. They were in sin too, but they were in some deep rebellion too. Some of the similar to you people. That's what I'm trying to say. Majority of you people hearing this. And yeah, but anyhow, I mean, yeah, God basically destroyed everything though in Sodom and Gomorrah. And he's telling like Lot and Lot's wife, you know, he told them not to look back. And see, here's the thing, Lot's wife, like she's curious about what's going on. I'm pretty sure she's hearing things, you know, seeing all this destruction, and she disobeys God. And see, he turns her into a pillar of salt for it, you know, basically destroying her or slaying her is, you know, the terms I'm using. But yeah, he did. He slayed her. And see, here's the thing about Lot's wife. Like, I don't agree with this fully, is what I'm saying. But see, I'm going to get into it because it is spiritual. But yeah, I mean, Lot's wife, you know, she was curious, and she was moving along, but she was just curious, and she turned around, and man, God turned her into a pillar of salt. And see, God is not playing, because some of you people, he's doing that with too. It's just on a spiritual level. And then others, you're truly just going to be left behind concerning heaven and all these other supernatural events concerning God, the God of Israel. You people don't believe in this stuff, but this shit is not a game. That's what you gotta understand. This has nothing to do with being perfect or all that crazy stuff. But I'm here to tell you too, see, around this timeline, you people will truly be doomed too. And a lot of you still are. But anyhow, like, see, God the Father was not playing. This has nothing to do with Jesus or nothing. Because I keep telling you, he wasn't even on the scene around this time. And see, the thing is, God the Father, he turned Lot's wife into a pillar of salt for just being curious about what was going on and about what God was doing. But see, the deeper revelation is like she was still attached to her sin, her sinful life, and overall she was just attached to her past. She did not want to move forward in what God was telling her to do, and just to overall just move and flee from that I want to say town, or that particular place, Sodom and Gomorrah, all that deep stuff, you know. And yeah, I mean, God basically slayed her for that. And that's why I'm trying to tell you, God is not playing around, because he's slaying a lot of you. Because see, you people are just like Lot's wife. A lot of you, you know, some of you are, it doesn't matter who you are hearing this, you know, it doesn't matter who you are hearing this. A lot of you are like Lot's wife. You know, you're playing with God, you know, you're not taking God serious of what he's telling you to do, all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, a lot of you are just like, you know, you're under God's wrath. I've already mentioned this many times. And see, I'm not a part of that stuff, you know. I'm not a hypocrite. And, you know, no, I'm just not a part of any of this, is what I'm telling you, you know. As I'm being led by the Spirit, but like, I'm not a part of all this stuff, is what I'm telling you. And I'm not under God's wrath. And I thank him for that, because what you got to understand is, you know, I'm not no perfect being or anything. But see, I do obey God. You know, I do truly do what he's telling me to do, you know, and all this deep stuff. No, I'm not perfect and all these things and all this stuff. No, I've already mentioned myself many times concerning God too. I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff. And this is one of them. I don't agree with this fully, but see, here's the thing. I understand it on a spiritual level. She basically she was not, it's not only that she didn't obey God, but she was not letting go of her past. And a lot of you are in this category as well. And see, around this timeline, a lot of you would be doomed on a more severe level. And a lot of you still are, because see, God the Father is still operating similar to this, whether you believe this or not. But he's just slightly more lenient just because of Jesus. But it still doesn't change who he is, because there's only certain things that Jesus can do, is what you got to understand concerning you people. And you people who just don't care about God, and, you know, you think God is a joke. Okay. But see, he wasn't joking with Lot's wife, is what you got to understand. He wasn't joking with anybody around this time, and he's still not, is what I'm telling you. He's the same today, tomorrow, and forevermore, is what you got to understand about God. And he's not changing. You know, I think I've already did something similar to this. But yeah, he's not changing for you, is what you got to understand. And overall, yeah, God just, you know, slayed all these other people too, so you gotta understand. But Lot's wife, like, yeah, I mean, she was just curious about things. And see, here's the thing. I don't fully agree with it, because it's like, God, like, she's literally just turning around to see what's going on. Like, this doesn't mean that she was going to just go directly back to what she was doing that was like rebellious. But see, God was still not playing. He was just, you know, he already seen through everything. You know, and he still does see through everything, is what you gotta understand. And he literally froze her to a pillar of salt and slayed her. That's basically what I'm telling you. And Lot's wife, you know, she did not get out of Sodom and Gomorrah or nothing. No, she didn't. Because she was still concerned with her past, and she did not want to move on like God was telling her. And I'm just being very real. I don't fully agree with God on this. No, I don't. In a way, I don't. Because the reason why I don't is because she was just slightly curious. But it doesn't mean that she was going to like rebel. But see, God already seen through this concerning Lot's wife. And he already seen through her. And she just didn't really overall want to let go of her past. That's what this is dealing with. And yeah, I mean, I understand it too. That's what you gotta understand. I do understand it because I am spiritual. I do have a relationship with God, and overall, I already know about this stuff. I do. But see, Lot's wife, she just didn't want to move on, and God was calling for her to move on. That's what you gotta understand about God. And see, around that time, there was no Jesus and all this stuff. Like, Jesus was not on the scene necessarily, is what I'm saying. There was no Jesus intervening, is what I'm telling you. And God the Father was just doing things concerning much anger and much destroying things. And he still is doing that, whether you believe this or not. And yeah, God is just going to slay a lot of you people too. He's leading me to say this. Now, see, me, I don't have any parts in this because I'm not under his wrath, I'm not no perfect being and all that funny stuff. I've already, you people should already know who I am by now, all this stuff. But, you got to re-emphasize these things because a lot of people, they take things out of context and they expect you to be something that you're not. And I am who I am in God. That's what you got to understand. And I am honest. I'm genuine and I do have a relationship with God and I do his will. You other people, you're just part of religion, you're part of trends, and you're a part of like putting on a persona. And see, this is the reason why God is going to slay a lot of you. You see, because you think this is a joke, but see, he wasn't joking with Lot's wife. That's what you gotta understand. He wasn't joking with Sodom and Gomorrah either. A lot of you people, you heard about this stuff, but you don't really believe it. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. God is not playing, is what I'm telling you. God the Father. This has nothing to do with Jesus. This has nothing to do with Raphael or Michael or Gabriel or Uriel or all these other angels. This has nothing to do with these angels either. That's what you gotta understand. A lot of you people, you don't believe in angels too. See, this is another thing with you people. You people don't believe in nothing of God, but you say that, God first and all this stuff, especially you women. You women are in this category. You see what I'm saying? And man, I just feel bad and shameful for you. This is shameful for you. I can't even say I feel shameful. This is shameful for a lot of you because, God is not playing and God is going to destroy many more things, in this timeline. That's what I'm telling you too. And, I'm just thankful to God that I'm not under his wrath. Once again, I'm already very transparent about who I am and you people should already know, but just me being led by the Spirit. I mean, yeah, I'm not no perfect being and I do have sin and all that stuff. Yeah, I do. But see, for one, the thing about me is I'm being led by the Spirit and I'm transparent about me. My sin is on a very low level. It really is. And it's getting lower and lower. It's low to medium, I want to say. And the medium is shrinking more and more. I'm being real because like God is just like, he truly just picked me for the stuff. That's what you gotta understand concerning his will and this his kingdom. And I'm thankful because, man, I mean, I just really fear God is what you gotta understand. And I love him too, but I also fear him. And see, this stuff is not a game because see, anything that God tells me, he tells me to do, I do it. I'm not questioning it and all this stuff like you people. I just do it. I do it. And this is a part of it. Yeah, but it's much more deeper. I've done stuff I keep telling you people would never do for God. And he's leading me to say this stuff because I've done a lot of stuff for him, even beyond this, beyond this too, as well as what I'm trying to say. I've done things, and God told me do this, do this and do this, and I did it. I did many things, but I'm not perfect in doing certain things for God. I've told you people already, I've wrestled with God many times and all this stuff. But see, the thing about me is I never turned my back on God and I never rejected him. See, this is the reason why a lot of you people, God is going to slay you. I'm being very real because see, he was not playing with Lot's wife. That's what you got to understand. And he was not playing with Sodom and Gomorrah either. I believe he rained down like fire and brimstone or something in that nature. I'm not here to be perfect in my speech or anything, but I'm just being led by the Spirit. And see, Sodom and Gomorrah, what I'm saying is he destroyed this place and he destroyed many people who were in rebellion and just not taking him serious, and all this stuff. You see, there was no Jesus to intervene and all this stuff, and there was none of that stuff. God was just destroying things and destroying things, and these people, you don't want God. Okay, cool. All this place is destroyed. This place is going to be destroyed. And see, that's what I'm saying. You guys, you take God for granted, and you take God's people for granted. And see, this is what ends up happening. Like, God just slays you, and then you end up in hell. You end up in the lake of fire. And overall, you just get rejected by holy angels. Because see, here's the thing. Like, God could have easily, sent an angel to Lot's wife, an angel of mercy, and just said, okay, yeah, I'm going to. Because see, Jesus, once again, was not on the scene around this timeline. He just wasn't, is what I'm telling you. He wasn't intervening, is what I'm saying. And anyhow, though, God could have easily just sent an angel of mercy to Lot's wife, and just said, okay, it's okay, you turned your head, but I'm gonna spare you, and you keep going with Lot and just get out of Sodom and Gomorrah, just flee. But no, God slayed her. He turned her to a pillar of salt. And see, you people think this is a game, but this is not just some story. I'm telling you, this is a real matter, and this really did take place, and God is still operating similar to this, whether you believe this or not. But Jesus Christ is the only difference is Jesus Christ is on the scene, more or less. But I keep telling you, Jesus is not going to be able to stop God from doing a lot of stuff. That's what you got to understand about this stuff. And see, God turned this woman to a pillar of salt. He was not playing games, and he destroyed many other people too in Sodom and Gomorrah. You people know about this, and you should anyhow. But you people who just don't even take God serious, I mean, man, you don't know. I know you don't. But this stuff is not a game, because once again, God could have just, and see, Mello speaking, me speaking too, I don't fully agree with God on this in a way. No, I don't. Because he could have spared her and just like punished her later as she got out of the town or whatever. But no, he didn't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. God, he could have sent an angel of mercy and just allowed her to, get out of Sodom and Gomorrah and flee with Lot and all this stuff, like the order was by God, but see, God just said no, basically, and he turned her into a pillar of salt. And as I'm getting closer to closing this out, I mean, I know God's people feel me on this, and you may have a similar way of looking at this too. And maybe slightly different or whatever, but I'm just being very real, with you people and with God's chosen people and who God has interest in. I mean, I don't agree with this Lot's wife, Lot's wife, and this whole thing that just really took place concerning Sodom and Gomorrah. People, you got to understand that, I don't fully agree with it, but I understand it, is what I'm saying. I do understand it from God's perspective too. I do. And that's why I fear him. That's why I keep telling you, I do fear God. But it's just like, this generation, you certain people, like you just, you keep going and going and going with all this stuff, like, and you don't understand that God is about to turn a lot of you into a pillar of salt. He's leading me to say this, but it's on a spiritual level too. And many of you people, you may think this is a game, but it's not a game. God is going to turn a lot of you to a pillar of salt, and he's already doing this stuff supernaturally, whether you believe this or not. But see, it's not a game, because God does give you free will, and he's not forcing you to follow him. All this stuff, he's not going to. No. That's the beauty in it. Like, God, true love, God's love would not be a relevant thing if he forced you to follow him. And he's leading me to say this. He gives you the opportunity to choose him or choose the devil. That's it. People, there's nothing more outside of that stuff concerning these two. I keep telling you. And I've mentioned this in some form of way before. He's leading me to say this. But overall, I just don't fully agree with this Lot's wife stuff and Sodom and Gomorrah. But I do agree with God's judgment part about it. But as far as him, like, just slaying her and turning her into a pillar of salt, I mean, I just feel that he could have been a little more, merciful with her and just allowed her to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah and, all this stuff. But see, once again, Jesus Christ was not on the scene. So, I mean, You disobeyed God in that timeline, and you're done. You're done. And a lot of you people are just done too. He's leaving me to say, it doesn't matter who you are hearing this. This Lot's wife stuff is not a game, and a lot of you people, and see, it's not talked about and all that stuff for real, because I keep telling you, a lot of these people, they sold out to the devil. These people you people look up to and all this funny stuff, these certain mega speakers, majority of them have sold out. I'm just going to be real. Very few of them, really are in the truth. And, it doesn't matter if they have some type of attraction or not, none of that matters. It's about if they're really in God's kingdom and genuine and honest and talking about this stuff. That's what I'm saying, but they're not. Majority of them are not. And, I do pray for certain individuals and others, and no, I don't. I just, the God of Israel is going to handle this stuff. I'm being very real. And as I'm getting closer to closing this out, because this is a lengthy one in a way too. Yeah, it is. This ain't for everybody, but anyhow, I don't agree with Lot's wife on this stuff. I don't agree with the Lot's wife. This whole stuff. That's what I'm saying. This everything that took place with Lot's wife. But I mean, she basically did not listen to God. And God was very cruel with this. Really, he was very intense. I want to say intense. And he was just not playing any games. That's what you got to understand. He's still not, too. That's what I'm telling you. And no, I don't fully agree with him on this, but I do understand his perspective. I do understand his judgment once again. And I understand that he's serious. That's what I'm telling you concerning God. So I do love God, and I do fear him. I fear him too. And they both play a big role in who I am in him and, everything. But overall, as I'm closing this out, I don't fully agree with it, but I do understand it on the spiritual level. That's what I'm saying. And I'm just being very transparent, because a lot of you people, you don't even know about this stuff. You heard of it on the surface, but I'm just getting into it by the Spirit. And this is a lengthy one, but man, this stuff, it's a real matter. And I'm going to be very real once again, concerning this, before I close this out. I do understand God concerning this. I understand, God the Father about this, but I just don't fully agree with him. He could have just sent an angel of mercy and just allowed her to get out of Sodom and Gomorrah and punish her or something. You see what I'm saying? And because the real Jesus, he would have not did this stuff in a way too. That's what you gotta understand. He would have maybe disciplined her, punished her, or maybe even put some slight curse on her and then remove it or something. But he's not gonna just turn her into a pillar of salt. That's what you gotta understand. But see, God did this stuff, and you people, think this is some light matter. No, he's still doing similar things now in this timeline. It's just a little more different and supernatural though. And that was supernatural too. He's overall supernatural, and you people just don't believe in this stuff. And this is why I'm getting a little frustrated concerning this. But with all that being said, I do love God, and God will continue to do him too. That's what you gotta understand too. So if you're outside of him, you don't care about him, you don't care about his kingdom, you don't care about his people, get prepared for him to turn you into a pillar of salt. And with all that being said, you may think this is not no joke though. God is going to bring serious judgment, and a lot of you just will not be a part of him and part of his kingdom. And with all that being said though, I'm out.